Hey guys, welcome to my video. This is part 3 on my series on how to maintain your high carbon steel knives. In this part we're going to cover storing your knives and how to store it long term for, a couple of weeks depending on your environment, to a couple of months. Now, I know there's been a really long time between my last two videos. I know, I'm a terrible person. I know. Make sure you leave that in the comments that I'm a horrible, horrible human being for not uploading regularly, even though I said I would. I know. Horrible. Anyway, on the video. In the last video I was talking about how to remove rust and how to, stop rust in the short term. But sometimes you just need to store it, because we as knife collectors, as knife aficionados, we like to have more than one knife. So sometimes you might rotate different knives out of EDC or out of our hunting or camping categories. So there might be a time, for a couple of months maybe, where a knife really doesn't get used. And that's when this video comes in. When you want to maintain, when you want to keep your knife looking nice and not rusting in storage. So what you'll need is some sort of oil. I use olive oil. Depending on the stuff you get, it can go rancid. This stuff doesn't. I don't know why. I don't know. It depends on what it is. Some guys use WD-40. You probably shouldn't, but I don't. I don't use WD-40 because it can rust it. Just figure out what you can use. I heard there's this really great stuff. Apparently, I've never used it because I can't get it in Australia, called EDCI solution. I don't know. You got to figure out what works best for you. Bunch of different things out there. Just do a bit of Google. A bit of Googling is always good for you. But anyway, I use the olive oil. It works. So what you want to do, fairly basically, is firstly, you don't want to store it in the sheath. Now, if I actually made a sheath for this knife, I would be showing that not in the sheath. But I never made a sheath for this knife, so obviously I won't be showing that. But you don't want to store it in the sheath. This is especially for natural shears like leather, but also for Kydex and nylon, the more synthetic stuff. What happens in a sheath, it's a very enclosed environment. So it's sort of like a very concentrated moisture. And also, as a side note, you don't ever want to put your knife into its sheath wet, especially if it's a high carbon steel like 1095, 01, 5160, etc. So you want to be keeping your knife dry, and you don't want to put it in the sheath for long-term storage. You actually want to keep it outside the sheath. So what I recommend is you put it in a drawer. You put it in, if you've got kids or something, maybe you buy like a jewelry box. The little ones that you can lock. I think they're like 60, 70 bucks on eBay. Buy one of those and just keep your knives in there, your high carbon steel knives in there, where you can lock it and where your kids can't get to it. Because this is an open blade. Unless your kids might be a little bit stupid, cut themselves, lose a finger, screaming, blood, horrible, horrible things. So if that's a concern, get something you can lock. Maybe even a safe if you want to. Some of you American guys, you got gun safes. You can chuck that in your gun safe. Anyway, so don't store it in your sheath. And what you want to do before you store it is you want to take some of your chosen oil, whatever it is, and you want to dab it liberally. Like, you want this thing to be drenched in oil. The more the better. You really can't overdo this. Now, what this does is it stops oxygen and water and all that sort of crap from getting on your surface. It provides a little protective layer. Gets into the little, in all the little microscopic cavities of the steel. And you can see this one's actually rusted because I, as a horrible human being, never actually maintained it properly. Again, this is a shop knife, so it has been, chopping wires and that sort of stuff, the horrible stuff. So, and really, if I was actually, following my own advice, I would completely clean this of rust first, but again, this is a shop knife, I don't care. And that is the fridge going on in the background. Anyway, so there you go. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is all coated in oil. So you'll take your drawer or whatever. This time we're having a box to stand in for. You put it in your drawer, it would even fit. And you want to get these things. These are called micro something. Silicone gel, that's what it is. You want to get some silica gel packets. Now these are really easy to find. Go on eBay and search silica gel bulk. You can buy 500 of these for like 10 bucks. I do that all the time. I actually ship all of my knives with these little things because, you know, they draw moisture out of the environment. So in your drawer, chuck in a bunch of these things. If you really want to go nuts and you have a whole drawer, what I actually have personally, I have a huge drawer that I pull out where I store all my knives. And I have about 500 of those little gel packets in there because I bought a whole bunch and just threw them in there. It's kind of like a sand, you know. They're just buried. They're all buried in these gel packets, and I almost never have rust anymore. So, pretty basic stuff. Don't store your knife in a sheath. Oil it liberally, and silica gel packets. I think that's about it. And one final thing, this doesn't last forever. So every couple months, depending on the steel and your environment, because that does make a huge part in this, you know, rust cycle. Just check it, make sure it's not rusting, reapply the oil if need be, that sort of stuff. You know, just keep an eye on your knife. That being said, this is the final part of the video. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, or, you know, shoot me a YouTube message if you never want to be replied to, because I never check YouTube messages, because again, I'm a terrible person. Again, thank you for watching, guys. See ya until the next video.